When you're out and about, remember that roughly 90% of the forests in the United States have been logged. And as such, you're going to find debris everywhere. This is a pretty thick hunk of steel. Looks like the side of a boiler, but were you to lift that up, that could become a shelter wall or a shelter roof. Always keep your eye out for that kind of stuff. Think outside the box. On this tree, you can see this vine here. Very furry. Most of the other vines you'll come across in the forest, like that, the foxgrape, are smooth or have like a shredded rough bark. If they're furry like this, in the off season, that's a good way you can tell that that's poison ivy. We are currently in the off season, so they're going to be hibernating. But when you step over a log, step on the top of it, and then step out further away as far as you can. If there's a snake under there, they can get you right in the back of the ankle, where you're most prone. This vine here is a foxgrape. You can tell, normally hanging in a U shape. They'll run up next to trees, right next to poison ivy a lot of times. It has like a rough shredded bark like this. The leaves are edible. You can use them to wrap things like wild rice and that kind of stuff, and they are edible. And in the summer, when they're drawing a lot of water, you can cut these vines and put a catch under it, and it'll give you fresh water. Good passive way to collect water. So I've been plodding around this wet area. I keep on coming across these mounds. They're really large, about 4 or 5 inches in diameter. One I came across yesterday had a borehole in it about 1.5 inches, 2 inches in diameter, with some droppings outside. Not sure what could be doing that. Maybe a Starnose mole, but they don't normally come up very often. But if anyone knows, let me know. This is a black walnut, native to the area, eastern U.S. obviously. When they first drop, they have a green coating on them. It goes black pretty quickly. But these can be broken open and eaten just like any other walnut. They typically are worm eaten, but if you're in a survival situation, that's protein. Also, this lake is pretty well frozen over. Out in the channel, there's some thinner ice, but if you pick around on the margins, sometimes you'll come across open water. The decaying vegetation will warm up the water, and in some cases just enough that it will leave a patch of open water. Obviously, you want to use pure water purification tablets or boil it, but good way as opposed to trying to find some open ice out in the middle and risk falling in. Just came across this. This is what a black walnut looks like before it loses the husk and looks like the walnuts that you'd buy in a store. Something looks like something was trying to get at it. You can see there's wormholes all over it, but if you find these, you can crack them open and find the walnuts. I was saying, going around the shores and the margins of a pond, you can normally find some open water. Moving water is even better, though. It's going to be cleaner as a general rule of thumb. I don't know if this is a spring-fed creek or if it's just a basin. I might pick along up, see if it is a spring-fed. I don't know if you can see this here. This is a game trail, and it has another intersection right there. If you follow these, downhill, you can often find open water. Also, if you're going to snare for small animals, that's where you want to do it. Keep on talking about the fox grape. This is the fruit. This is obviously really dried up. They're dark purple, like you would find in a Concord grape, and they can be crushed up and used in jam, just like you'd use any other grape. It can be a little tart, just like most wild edibles, but yeah. This is a sweet briar or a wild rose. Couple good identifying features with backward facing thorns. 5 leaflets per leaf. I knocked off one of these. I've been looking for a leaf sample for a minute. But they produce these, they look like red berries, but they're rose hips. And they're very high in vitamin C. And you can crush them up and make a preserve out of them, or just go ahead and chew them. They can be dry and bitter, but you need your vitamin C. And make sure you get a couple of those good identifying features, because a lot of red berries can be poisonous. I'm looking for a better leaf cluster on these briars, wild roses. This is a better representation. 5 leaflets on one leaf cluster, and you can tell that's pretty red. So I was saying, as you go around, stuff like this is looks like a solid aster or a goldenrod. This stuff makes incredible tinder for getting the fire started, as I'll show you here shortly. So grab what you can of this stuff when you can. Like I said, you can shove it inside your shirt. It'll help keep you insulated until you can start a fire. Grab it as much as you can whenever you can. These reeds, this is a genus Phragmites. There are native ones and there are invasive ones. Taking a look, most of these shafts are without leaves. The leaves drop off the native ones pretty easily. The non-native ones, the invasive ones, they can make mats of root several meters thick, and they'll choke out any native plant. They've been a real problem, doing wetlands restoration and such. You get a little bit of them, and they'll quickly take over. But these tops make excellent tinder. Just going to do a quick demonstration of starting a fire with the magnesium and ferro rod. Make sure you clear out a good area. I'm in a fire pit, the ground's saturated here. Put yourself down a couple leaves, and that'll allow you to pick it up and blow into it if you need to get a flame jumping from an ember. But you'll see with this tinder and a little bit of this magnesium and spark, it jumps up like a match. Scrape yourself off a good amount of shavings. If you don't have dry tinder, you can use the magnesium alone. Get a pile about a ½ inch round. But when you have good dry tinder like this, you just need some anywhere, because you get a shower of sparks in there and it goes up like a match that quickly. Now obviously you get your small kindling on there, and make sure you don't use any noxious plants, poison ivy. You make sure you don't use any of that. Obviously you don't want to breathe the smoke in. You end up in the hospital or worse. But yeah, that's how quick